What happens when a billionaire politician decides to reshape a nation's democracy? Bidzina Ivanishvili, Georgia's behind-the-scenes power player, has set his sights on restricting foreign-funded NGOs, controlling media with questionable international ties, and curbing opposition backed by foreign forces. As Western leaders are engrossed in conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza, is their influence over Georgia waning? In a rare public address, Ivanishvili criticized the US and EU for meddling in Georgia's affairs and proposed a foreign agents law. As protests erupt and international tensions rise, where will Georgia's political landscape head next?
Welcome to TFI Global, the antidote to mass delusion.
Bidzina Ivanishvili, Georgia's influential political figure, is aiming to restrict foreign-funded NGOs, control media receiving international funds, and curb opposition supported by external forces. As Western leaders remain occupied with conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza, they risk losing their strategic influence in Georgia, a small yet significant country by the Black Sea. On April 29th, in a rare public appearance, Ivanishvili, the founder and unofficial leader of the ruling Georgian Dream Party and a reclusive billionaire, criticized the US and the EU, describing them as Western global war party interfering in Georgia's internal matters. Ivanishvili announced plans to reintroduce a foreign agents law targeting organizations receiving more than 20% of their funding from abroad. This law, similar to the US's FATCA, would enable the government to scrutinize NGOs, control paid media, and limit opposition influenced by foreign money. The law passed on May 14th, signifying Georgia's shift towards a governance model reminiscent of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's policies, where foreign-funded NGOs faced strict regulations to ensure national interests prevailed. This move sparked protests, with many paid stooges of the West taking to the streets. Georgia has faced similar scenarios before as well. In March 2023, the government introduced a similar law but withdrew it following significant protests by the usual suspects. The EU then granted Georgia candidate status, raising hopes of getting Georgia into the European Union. Ivanishvili's wealth, amassed through business ventures in Russia's Middle Corridor, a critical trade route connecting Europe to China and Central Asia, fuels Western suspicions of his allegiance to Russian interests. The case of the deep-sea port project in Anaklia illustrates these concerns. A joint venture between Georgia's TBC Holding and US-based Conti International was awarded the contract in 2016, but the Georgian government terminated it in 2020, a move perceived by the US as influenced by Russia. Ivanishvili, who has been a key player in Georgian politics since 2012, is viewed by the West as aligning with Russian interests. This perspective suggests that his actions, including distancing Georgia from Western influence, are in line with Russian geopolitical strategies. Georgia's strategic positioning plays a crucial role in its regional relationships. Strengthening ties with Europe could potentially weaken its connections with Russia and impact its influence in the Caspian Sea region and Central Asia. As Georgia navigates these complex geopolitical waters, Western reactions include legislative measures in the US to support Georgian America-style democracy and impose sanctions on those undermining it. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has announced visa restrictions for individuals perceived to be disrupting democratic processes in Georgia, which is to say, American-style democratic processes. Potential Western sanctions on Ivanishvili and his associates, including those negotiating with demonstrators, would underscore concerns about foreign interference in Georgian governance. Foreign-funded opposition parties in Georgia argue for increased international support, including election observers ahead of the parliamentary elections in October 2024. They are forming a pro-European coalition to challenge the ruling party, seeking robust public support, which they don't have. The upcoming elections is seen as a critical juncture for Georgia's political direction. The outcome will in all probabilities favor Ivanishvili, which the West is ready to castigate as yet another product of Putin's meddling. Cry over spilled milk, sirs.